What if I told you that the problem most people have with money isn't that they don't earn enough, but that they've never learned how to spend it? Think about it. We spend decades learning how to make money. We read every book about investing. We watch every video about passive income. We build businesses. We hustle. We grind. And then finally, the money comes and we still feel empty. That feeling has a name. And Morgan Housel, the man who wrote one of the most important finance books of the last decade, finally sat down to explain why. Welcome to Awakened Minds. Today we are unpacking the act of spending money, and I promise you, by the end of this video, the way you see your money, your business, and your retirement will never be the same. Morgan Housel is not your typical finance writer. He doesn't give you spreadsheets. He doesn't hand you a 12-step budget. He does something far more uncomfortable. He holds up a mirror. His first book, The Psychology of Money, changed how millions of people think about wealth. Now, in the art of spending money, he turns his lens on the other side of the equation, not how to accumulate money, but how to use it. And what he finds is both liberating and convicting. Housel opens with a truth so simple it almost stings. There are two ways to use money. One is as a tool to live a better life. The other is as a yardstick of status, to measure yourself against others. Many people aspire for the former, but spend their lives chasing the latter. That's the whole book in 2 sentences, but let's go deeper, because the implications for your mindset, your business, and your future are profound. Here's where Housel begins, and is worth sitting with this. Most of us don't spend money, we perform with it. We buy the car not because we love driving, but because we love what we imagine people would think when they see us driving. We upgrade the house not for comfort, but for the caption. We post the vacation not to remember the moment, but to announce it. Housel calls this the status trap, and is a trap with no exit, because there is always someone richer, someone flashier, someone with a bigger number. He references a study that should stop you cold. If your neighbor wins the lottery, you are more likely to borrow money and go bankrupt. Read that again. Someone else's windfall triggers your financial destruction. That is how deep comparison runs in us. Social media collapsed every wall that once kept comparison contained. Suddenly, your reference point isn't the people you grew up with or the colleagues you work beside. It's everyone, all at once, all the time. You're scrolling past yachts, penthouses, and private jets at 11 p.m. in your bedroom, and the mind doesn't know the difference between inspiration and infection. The circle of comparison used to be small enough to outgrow. Now it's infinite, and it never sleeps. But here's the awakened perspective. Housel says envy is inversely correlated with self-knowledge. The less you know yourself, truly know yourself, the more you need others to define your worth. But the moment you become deeply acquainted with who you are, what you value, and what actually brings you peace, the comparison game loses its grip. This is not just personal finance, this is identity work. And for the entrepreneur especially, this is foundational. Because if you're building a business to look successful rather than to be purposeful, you will make 1,000 decisions from the wrong place. You will hire to impress, you will spend to signal, you will scale before you're ready, because someone else scaled and you couldn't stand watching. The mindset shift Housel is calling for is this: stop performing with your money, start living with it. Now let's talk about the entrepreneur. Because this book speaks to the builder, the visionary, the person who takes risk, in a way that most business books completely miss. Housel introduces a concept he calls negative returns. Spending that doesn't just fail to add value to your life, but actively subtracts from it. Think about the business owner who buys the luxury office before the revenue justifies it. Who leases the premium everything, premium software, premium space, premium everything before the model is even proven. They acquired problems, not progress. Or think about this on a personal level. The entrepreneur who finally makes serious money and immediately upgrades their entire lifestyle. New car, new house, new wardrobe. And then the business hits a rough patch. And now, the weight of those fixed expenses becomes a prison. The very money that was supposed to free them has trapped them. Housel uses a metaphor that is almost too good. Money is like gasoline on a road trip. You don't want to run out of it, but you're also not doing a tour of gas stations. Read that slowly. Money is fuel, not the destination. The entrepreneur who treats every dollar of revenue as a trophy to be displayed is building a beautiful car that can't move. So what should an entrepreneur spend on? Housel answers is quietly radical. Spend on what buys you freedom. Freedom of time, freedom of choice, freedom of no. One of the greatest advantages any business owner can have is the ability to say no to a bad client, to wait for the right opportunity, to walk away from a deal that compromises their values. That ability is only possible if your personal financial life isn't screaming for oxygen. He puts it this way: if I save $100 for the future, what does that cost me today? Sure, I could buy a $100 dinner or a $100 shirt, but by saving it, I gain something today. $100 in independence, $100 of options and freedom. This is the awakened entrepreneurial mindset. Every dollar you don't spend on performance is a dollar that protects your ability to build. The best entrepreneurs aren't the most visible ones. They are the ones who are still standing when everyone else folded. And they are still standing because their spending didn't outrun their wisdom. Now here's where the book genuinely becomes profound, and where I think most people, especially in their 30s and 40s, need to sit down and listen. Housel introduces what I believe is the most honest framework for financial decision making I've ever encountered. He calls it minimizing future regrets. Not maximizing returns, not minimizing expenses, minimizing regrets. And here's the tension he names with stunning clarity. One of the biggest conflicts in managing money is finding the delicate balance between the two most powerful forces in the world: compound interest, which turns patience today into fortunes tomorrow, and the fact that you are one day closer to death than you were yesterday. So make the most of your short time here. Most financial advice lives entirely on one side of that tension. Save everything, invest everything, retire one day. But that one day never comes with instructions. And then there's the other side, the live for today crowd, who are one bad quarter away from catastrophe. Housel says both are wrong. The only right answer is deeply personal. What will you regret when you look back? For some people, the regret is not saving enough. Housel is honest about this from his own life. He says if he died tomorrow, he would feel proud knowing his family was financially protected, that the sacrifices he made in the name of saving meant something. Not spending on a trip or a dinner would not haunt him. But for others, the regret is the opposite. The parents who never took the family vacation because the price seemed too high. The entrepreneur who postponed every joy until the business took off. The retiree who finally had the money, but not the health, not the energy, not the time. This is a conversation no one wants to have, but Housel forces it. Hoarding money is for its own sake is also a trap. He writes, no one is going to give you a prize for aging with the highest account balance. Retirement is not a number. It's not a date. It is a relationship between your past choices and your future freedom. And the people who retire with the most peace are not necessarily the ones with the most zeros. They are the ones who spent intentionally along the way, who invested in experiences, in relationships, in memories, while also building the nest egg that means they never have to beg. The point of saving is not to never spend. The point of saving is to spend well. And spending well requires knowing yourself deeply. What do you actually want? Not what Instagram wants for you, not what your industry peers are doing, not what your parents told you wealth should look like. What do you want your life to feel like at 70? Start there and work backwards. Here's what Housel is ultimately building toward, and it is the most awakened idea in the entire book. The fastest way to build wealth is to eliminate desires you don't actually have. Think about that. Every desire you genuinely outgrow, every status symbol you realize you never actually wanted, every upgrade you decline, not from scarcity, but from clarity, that is more powerful than any investment strategy. Because you can't invest your way out of an identity built on consumption. He says the best financial decision he ever made was figuring out what he doesn't want. And that is the work. Not the spreadsheets, not the budget, not the 5-year plans. The inner work of understanding what actually brings you joy, what actually makes you feel alive, what actually constitutes your definition of a rich life. Because when you know that, you stop leaking money toward other people's definitions. You stop spending to perform. You stop saving out of fear. You start spending with intention, and your money becomes what it was always meant to be, a tool for your life, not theirs. The Art of Spending Money is not a book about budgeting. It is a book about becoming. Becoming someone who uses money as a vehicle for freedom, not a vehicle for validation. For the entrepreneur, your spending reveals your strategy. For the future retiree, your choices today are writing the story you will tell yourself tomorrow. For the person still building, your identity shapes your wealth far more than your income ever will. Morgan Housel ends the book with a quiet challenge. Stop asking, how much money do I have? Start asking, what is my money actually doing for me? That is the question of an awakened mind. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment. What is one thing you spend money on that you now realize doesn't actually serve you? I'd love to read every single response. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Awakened Mind because we're just getting started. Stay curious, stay intentional, stay awakened.